Oh, what's up? What's up out there? Happy holidays, everybody. Merry Christmas. What's happening? What are y'all doing? Everybody ready for the holidays? Get your shopping done? I did my shopping yesterday, most of it. So I'm almost there. It was great. Got in the holiday spirit. Went to a nice Christmas party yesterday. What else? What else is going on? This week, I had my guitar clinic. Saw some of you there, met some of you in lovely Woodland Hills, California at Angel City Guitars. Thanks again, Angel City, for hosting me, and to Sir Guitars for helping put it together and facilitate. And it was really, really fun. Great to have a really nice turnout. There's about, I think, 50 to 60 people there. And it was, it's about all you can do in that store because it's not a real big shop. It's a beautiful store, but it's not real big. So I was very happy with the turnout, and we had some fun. It was just good times. There were some pickup giveaways. Some people won some Thorn buckers and a Sir Eclipse pedal. Fun was had by all, I think. I sure did have fun. Really enjoyed it. What else happened? I put out a video the other day for my studio monitors, kind of a different video. Created a little bit of controversy. Not really, but some people were just sort of I don't know, like questioning my integrity. No, I mean, I was fairly transparent in the video where I said, look, they sent me these studio monitors, said check them out. If you like them, you can use them. If you don't like them, then send them back. That's the truth. But the reality, that the point I was trying to make is, especially in some of the comments, was that there's no way I could use them if, like, you're going to see them in every video I do. What am I going to do? Like, when I'm actually mixing, I'm going to put my other ones back up, and then I'm just going to put why would I even do? It's crazy. So anyway, they sound really amazing, and have sort of upped my game here. So I can just hear what's going on down low much better, and there's a definite improvement also, like in the mids and upper highs, just like clarity and imaging's amazing on them. I didn't even mention that in the video, and I forgot to do that. And afterwards I was like, oh shit, I didn't say, just the imaging between the two, like it's like just really cool. I don't know how else to describe it. And I can just hear lower, better, no sub or anything. Now, some people were asking why I don't have my MM45s up, because you couldn't see them in the video. And the reason is these speakers are a fair bit bigger they're fairly large for a near field. So when I put them up, I realized with where my desk is quite heavy and stuff. And where my light is, I've got a great big softbox on this side lighting me up. I can't fit the MM45 there right now. Like, I'll have to back my desk up a foot in this direction, and that's gonna kind of, I think I can do it, but I just gotta reconfigure in here a little bit and figure out how I'm gonna make all this stuff fit, because they just ain't gonna fit right now. I'd be okay on this side of my desk, but on this side of my desk, the MM45 is too big to fit. Maybe probably a foot. I gotta back the desk up a foot. And then I lose space in here, which isn't a bad thing. If there's space in here, I cram it with stuff. You ever have that, like, where, in your studio or wherever you're working or whatever, you're just, if there's this, like, I could have a room twice this big, it'd still be full. I would somehow find, that's just how I roll, unfortunately, but anyways, I will do that, and I will get the other speakers up. Some people were like, well, aren't the other ones better? They're more expensive MM45, and it's like they're a midfield. So I don't primarily want to mix on those. I like a near field speaker for mixing on that's close to me, 2.5 feet from my head, is what I'm mixing on. And anyway, the Footprint 3s, the reality is I really could just use those, and not, like, they sound so good, and most of my work is done on near fields. It always has been. Before I used Adams. Great speakers. Really good for a long time, 18 years of use, and I was very happy. But it was like something I didn't know I needed. So anyways, make it 220, 221, whatever it takes. I lit that up by accident. But hi, Ian, how's it going? I got some news this week that is, it's really great. I can't tell you about it yet. It'll be in the new year. But I'm so like, it's hard to believe actually. But I've got a great thing going on for next year. So anyways, not going to tell you what it is, but very exciting for the new year, for projects and stuff like that. All kinds of stuff I got going on. So it's going to be good. I'm happy going into the new year, excited about what's going down. And there'll be some fun stuff happening. So there'll be a bit of a change. There's going to be a lot of, I'm going to be out a lot next year. So I'm going to, when it comes to YouTube videos and stuff, I'm going to be thinking about how I can do some interesting stuff while traveling, and kind of mix it up a little bit when it comes to videos. It's not going to be, I don't think, just be out of necessity. I'll still be doing some when I'm in town, but not as many gear demos. It's going to be more, man on the scene. Here we are in wherever, and doing guitar related, music related stuff in that sense. So, but it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. Trust me, it's all good. All right. What else are you guys talking about? Got a super chat there. Let's just shoot straight to it. It's Zazbo Wabo. What's up, man? How are you? Merry Christmas to you as well. Do you care if a digital pedal has analog drive through or not? Kinda. People make a big deal out of it. Not sure it matters. It doesn't, like, it's not like a deal breaker, but it is really cool for a few different reasons. Well, just number one, no latency. Tends to be, especially on a pedal that has like that you're going to run in front of distortion. If it's a digital pedal, like let's say a Strymon versus something else, the Strymons have an analog drive through, and you'll probably notice a lower noise floor, because what happens is when everything is going through an A to D converter, you're generally speaking, no matter what, going to add a little bit of hiss to the signal. So that's a consideration. So you've got two considerations right there: latency and a little bit of noise that are going to get added. Of course, part of the signal is going, digitized and stuff. But say on a Strymon, you're just blending in the delay at like 25% or something. So it's not the same. Like you're not really going to notice, like putting an L cap stand or whatever in front of your amp, your dirty amp, an increased noise floor, but certain other pedals that don't have an analog drive through, you will. So it kind of matters, yeah, it's interesting, it's an interesting factor. The other thing about it is, you can, it's kind of like having a parallel mixer, like Bill. That's essentially what it is. So if running delay and stuff, like let's say all you want to do is run stereo delay in the loop of an amplifier, it's kind of like you've got a parallel loop. Not exactly, but I mean, pretty much like you're just blending in delay, and that analog path stays true. So, if I ran a couple of PT100s and I took the effect sand out to say a Strymon dig, and then I took the effect, the input, and took the outputs of the dig left and right to the return of the main amp, and then the return of a second one, I'd have a really cool stereo setup with a stereo delay. And essentially it'd be kind of like what I've got going on my board with my parallel mixer. Where, that analog dry path always stays true, never changes, and nothing going on there. Certainly no added noise, but also, which isn't really a problem in a loop. You don't notice it, but you would notice it in front. Anyways, it's, like I said, for me, not a deal breaker, but definitely cool to have the analog drive through for sure. And it depends, on what you're doing. It depends on what you're doing, if the best thing to do is just use a parallel mixer. I'm convinced of that with my, I love having the parallelizer on my board. It's really cool, because then all that stuff becomes relevant. As long as your pedals have kill dry, you can use them in a parallel fashion with a external mixer, and you get more control and stuff than you would even, with an analog drive through on a pedal. So pretty cool. Starbucks today. You know what? Starbucks not bad, man. You can get, this is a triple grande oat milk with the blonde espresso, which is the trick. Always get the friggin' blonde espresso. Don't mess around with the other burned stuff. But the blonde stuff, not bad. Totally serviceable. It's not like the best thing I've ever had, but it's like, that's solid. I'm enjoying it. Yeah. Oh, let's see. I have a set of Yamaha PA speakers, says Arthur, for mixed playback stuff, and they're perfect for flat mixing. Not so good. Yeah. Yeah, you gotta get something flatter for the mixing. At this point in time, if the computer monitors, if someone causes you to be a douche, then you really need to think hard on how your life is going. Thanks, God. Yeah, agreed. You know, it's funny. I couldn't use them. Like, hey, let's face it. I'm an internet influencer. It's what I do. Hello, you know, but it doesn't mean that I don't like making music sound good and stuff. That's how I got here, you know? So, yeah, I mean, things come my way, you know, that's how it is, you know, it's just how it is, but I can't use a speaker. I'm not going to have something in here that I'll tell you what, I was sent studio monitors a while ago, like 4 years ago, that were new, and they asked me to check them out. Couldn't use them. I mean, I didn't even start to do a mix on them because I knew right away that they weren't for me. So you never even heard about them. That's what I'm saying, you know, just because somebody sends something my way doesn't mean that, you know what I mean? And these ones, on the other hand, I was actually even reluctant to try them because it's kind of a, oh, I'm probably not gonna, I don't want to, you know, and the big, you know, boxes show up, and then if you don't like them, you got to box them up and send them back, and all the corners and do the labels and all. It's like, I don't think this is gonna be a waste of time. I don't even think I'm gonna like them. I like them, you know, they were great. And I've heard a lot of monitors over the years. There's got lots of good sort of mid-priced monitors out there. Focals, you know, tried a bunch of different ones that are like, oh, these are pretty cool. I could use, you know, some Genel X, where it's like I could get used to these, but these I put them up and I was like, this sounds like what I'm like. I know. Here's the thing with studio monitors: it's if you know what's going on. So put on Back in Black or some record that you know really well, right? And you put that on, and if it sounds like it's supposed to you, like just intuitively, it's like, oh yeah, everything's in balance. But if you put something on and the guitars sound super back or dark, you know, it's like there's a lot of sub or something, and you're like, that if I had to mix on these, I don't know, because right there it'd be like that's how you'd have to mix in order. And if it sounds unfamiliar and sounds like out of balance to you on, it's very simple to me. If it sounds like super out of balance to me, or like I would have to do this sound all the time in order, it's like, oh no, you know, on a lot of monitors, like I don't know what this is. For me, kind of started, you know, my earliest days with NS10s. That was and those Tannoy little golds. It was like they were really nice, sort of a midfield / near field monitor. That's what I started with. You know, sort of tuning my ears on. NS10s were this thing where you kind of had to make the guitars MIDI forward, rip your head off. You could kind of hear the bass. You know, if you could just kind of hear the bass, then you were sort of like, that's where it's supposed to be. Because if you could hear it really well, then it'd be super loud, like in the mix on any other system. And so NS10s were just like this thing that people got used to, but like I knew how to work on those, how to make them sound good and stuff. Then I went through, you know, other and I ended up with these Adams like in 2006. And I was like, oh, these are like, I can just kind of tell what's going on. And I worked on them for 18 years. Same, you know, A7s and a pair of A7X is essentially the successor or whatever to those. And very happy, you know, on those for a number of years. And so I wasn't even really interested in changing. But then like you try something, you go, oh, this is like a change I didn't know I needed, you know? And that's how it happened. So anyways, what distortion pedal are you using? I don't really use distortion pedals, but I do have okay, so like I have on my, oh, that is something I don't think I mentioned last week, or maybe I did. The Unobtainium Raw from Crazy Tube Circuits, which I think is kind of a limited thing, but I put that on my board because, oh man, does it ever sound great. It's not technically a distortion pedal, really. It's more of an overdrive, soft clipping sort of pedal, but it's got a Klon sort of side that's great, and then it's got a Dumbly overdrive side, kind of Dumble amp channel side that can either do steel string singer or overdrive special sorts of sounds. That's the goal with the pedal, to achieve those. And man, the raw version, whoa, did it ever sound good. So I put it on my board right away because it's just really cool. So that's there now. I've also got a Crazy Tube Circuit Starlight Fuzz, which is closer to a distortion, I would say. It's definitely a hard clipped pedal when you get the gain up. And so that's on there. That's kind of it for, other than that, I use amp drive. So my amps are, like modded in the Marshall vein, and it's like a basically modded JCM 800 sort of topology. Yeah. Yeah. So thanks for the super chat there, Michael. Lee Sklar does the walking tour of venues he's playing on the road. Quite interesting to see how shows come together in various venues. That's cool. That's a great idea. I mean, maybe I should watch Lee's channel and stuff and just see like what can I do. I mean, I know I can do Sunday Live because you guys have seen me do it. So I'll make time for that the whole time I'm in the UK. What day is it today? I'll have at least another couple of these, right? 3, 4, 5. Okay, so the next one I'll be here. The following week, 2 weeks, I'll be in England. And I will just be arriving. So that might be a questionable Sunday Live that day. I can probably do it, but it's just a question of like, I'll be just getting to a hotel and knackered and all that stuff that day. So we'll see. I might just shift it to Monday, first day of rehearsal or something, and show you that, kind of like maybe that would be more interesting than just me in a hotel room super tired. So okay, so I'll figure that out. I'm just hitting all the super chats here, and then I'll kind of go back through the chat and hit a bunch of other questions. Thank you very much for the super chats, guys. For your coffee fund and for putting a picture of my guitar in your thumbnail. Oh, cool, man. You got a gold one? Fantastic. Thanks, David. I appreciate it. This is really I gotta buy some coffee, so definitely. Thanks for listening to April 6th. It meant so much to me. I played bass. Oh, cool. We recorded at Skip Sailor Studios around the Warner Center. I've heard of it, but I've never been there. Warner Center, that's kind of close to where I did my clinic the other day. Not exactly, but within a few miles. So I was out that way the other day. But that's cool. Thank you guys so much for these super chats. Throwing down support for the support. To supporting. You're the best. Thank you, man. You guys, too kind. Merry Christmas to you all. I didn't mean to cause a fuss. Completely believe you earned and are at a level where the most excellent monitor. Appreciate it. Oh, it's all good, dude. I liked your suggestion that I confirm the price. You were that guy. Because I said, are you sure? They're like, because you said they were $4,500 or something. And I was like, are you sure? Sorry, I was a little snarky with my reply probably, but I don't know. Sometimes with, I get a little like, well, I guess to be fair, your comment was a little snarky. But we're all good. It's okay. It's no big deal. Yeah, some people saw them and maybe assumed that they're per speaker, I guess, like the price that you see on Sweetwater and stuff, but they're $19.95 a pair, which is only $500 more than what I was using. The Atoms are about $750 each. So these are grand each, $250 more. Both good speakers, and I would consider that mid-priced studio monitors. It's not, you can easily start spending way more money really quickly once we get into the fancy stuff. So if they come in for $1,000, I guess I'd call it, the mid to upper end of mid-priced, if that makes sense. Yeah, but yeah. All right. What else we got here? Eston says, thanks for that super chat, man. It'd be nice if you could hit the like button, says Eston, for Pete. It helps with the algorithm. 225 of us here, only 50 likes. Yeah, if you don't mind, hit the thumbs up. That'd be awesome. Keeps driving the program. Let's see here. What else? There's another super chat. I'll grab there in a sec. How do you think Stone Temple Pilots get that gravelly, clean guitar sound? He tends to use he has an interesting rig. Dean's a super nice guy. He's a good dude, and I could ask him and he would tell me. I could actually ask Friedman and he would tell me because he's worked on his rigs for years. But I think he's still using the same things he's used for a long time, which is some sort of Demeter preamp, and then he also uses AC30s, and he kind of blends them somehow. I think they're blended. So the gravelly clean thing, that, without knowing exactly what tone you're referencing, I would say that's probably broken up AC30, or at least part of that in the mix. But he's always had a great guitar sound, really cool guitar sounds, and occasional use of chorus and stuff, especially in the early days. I think he used some sort of Boss. Yeah. Looking at noiseless P90s for my Epiphone Casino recommendations. Uh, as far as what's currently available, I would say probably like some sort of Lawler or something, or maybe stacked P90. I mean, Duncan, is always they've always got stuff. I'm not a huge fan of stacked pickups per se. It's not my, I feel like they just differ from the tone of a true single coil. So I like to go at it a different way with the noise cancellation. But oh, Lindy Fralin. Look at if Lindy Fralin has something. Let's look. Yeah, I think he might. Yeah. I don't. Maybe he doesn't. Hum canceling P90. Yeah. Try the Fralin. It gets 5 stars, 251 reviews. It's on his website. Hum Canceling P90 by Lindy Fralin. If you want a one-stop shop, I'd probably go for that. He does great single coils, and it'd be super cool, I bet. Yeah. Let's see. Do you know the Soldano Hot Rod 50 Plus or played one yourself? I really love that in my studio. Also got a 2204 JCM 800 from 88, fully restored. Cool. I remember the 50 Plus. I never had one or anything like that, but I remember it back in the day. And it was basically like an SLO overdrive channel, but with 50 watts and a different transformer and stuff like that. Some people think the SLO sounded ever so slightly better because of the particular design of the power section, I think, and the 100 watts and all that. But I remember them, back in the day. You should do an updated version of that amp. I guess that's kind of the SLO 30 or something. There's already a lower power version, but of the big one. Thanks for the super chat there. 2204 JCM 800. That's cool. That reminds me, you're seeing let me just clear my the banner there. You're seeing that down there. So that's a 22. I always mix it up. I'm doing the show. I should know this. 2203 is the 100 watt, right? That's a 100 watt one. So, but that it's not an 800. It's a late 70s. The reason that's in here is I'm doing a little video for Dave for his JEL 50, which you also see sitting there. And what I'm doing in my video, and it's going to come out probably, if I can get it done, I'll get it out tomorrow. Yeah, I want to get it done for tomorrow. I'll try and edit it today and get it out because it's almost done. I recorded a silly track that, but it's an interesting track because what I wanted to do, I suggested this to him. I said, why don't I make a different kind of video for you? Some people always say like, oh, it doesn't sound exactly like a Marshall or whatever, like his amps or whatever, So I said, why don't I make a video where I try and compare it to a couple Marshalls, which is always a little risky because comparisons are like, people will hear into them what they want, right? But so what I did was I said, let me just try it and see. And I got that 2203 in here, which is actually Dave's. And then I've got my old Marshall 50 up there, the JMP. So that amp has 2 channels, the JEL. It's got a basically a plexi channel, like what you would find in a small box amp. That's pretty much a plexi, but it's got a master. So that's the only difference. So if you turn the master all the way up, apart from having a master in line still, but it's basically all the way up and basically out of line. Not, but it is, you know what I mean? You've got a plexi on that channel. So that's kind of the clean channel 1 or whatever on that JEL. And then on channel 2, you've got 2 different modes. You've got a boosted mode, but the regular mode is basically an 800 that Dave's just kind of tuned a little bit to be a little different than an 800. Little bit leaner, which keeps it a little tighter. So that it doesn't kind of, bloated. 800s are that bloated anemic thing to me. Or 2203, 2204. A little bloated, little anemic till you get them up really loud. Then they can be really great. But they got to be super loud. So the original goal of an 800 was, or of a 2203, 2204 was to give players obviously plexi kind of overdrive, Marshall kind of overdrive, but with a master volume they could control. Well, the way that the circuit just kind of was, they left enough bass in the front end of it, and then also kind of didn't really add, because there's an added gain stage, but it's this kind of cold gain stage in an 800. and it's not real hot. It doesn't add a lot of drive. It just adds a little bit of drive. So, I think they were trying to make the sound with the 2203 or 4 of a plexi sort of on 6 or 7, but at any volume. They weren't going for Van Halen. They were, because that didn't exist yet when they designed it in like 1974 or 5 or whenever the first iteration of that circuit came out. So they were going for, kind of 60s or early 70s sort of, that drive sound. So they added a gain stage, but it adds just a little bit of gain, and then the master volume, and then the kind of still relatively sort of fat front end, and it's just sort of a little anemic. So anyway, the tuned thing is just, you just dial that in a little bit. Now you got a really great sound. It's not even really that, big of a deal. But so I'm comparing it to that amp and to that amp. And the way that I did it was I recorded tracks in a little song where you're hearing me going from one to the other, from one to the other. So I'm going from the 50 watt mark. Actually, I start with Dave's amp in the song. I'm going from the Plexi channel to the JMP50, from the Plexi channel to the JMP50, playing the same part. And I tried to dial them to sound absolutely as close as I could. And then you're hearing me go from the JEL to the 2203, JEL to the 2203. Now that's not an exact, because that's a 100 watter, that's a 50 watter. So I had to volume match them a little bit because his just wasn't as loud. We're about 3 dB off with the 100 watts. But anyways, I think you're going to be surprised like how close it sounds. It sounds very, very close. And then with that amp, you've also, of course, got the gain boost on channel 2, which lets you add in more gain, and then you've got that third sound. So, but the goal was, can this amp kind of do, late 60s, early 70s, 4-hole Marshall, 2203, 2204, plus a boosted sound? Like, could you kill all those birds with that one stone? That's the goal of the video. So that'll be out tomorrow. And just spoiler alert, I think the answer is yes. It's like, well, that basically sounds like super duper close. I mean, the tubes aren't the same. It almost sounds like if I were to change the tubes on the amps to be the same, like, oh, they'll come right into, because there's a little bit of a different preamp tube complement, not the type of tube. Well, the make of tube, Dave uses something else than what I've got in mind. But other than that, it's so damn close. So yeah, Chris says last time you pivoted to Mondays, hope you can fit us in your busy schedule. Appreciate you. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Yeah, I just think I'm flying on a Saturday this year, and that'll take me into arriving on a Sunday in England when I get over there, which is the day that I normally do Sunday Live. So I would probably be in by the time, by this time to do the show, but I might just be like cooked. But I might still just do that and just do a half an hour. But maybe it's more interesting if I do the next day, which would be a setup day in the studio, and kind of as we're getting set up and stuff like that, and it might be a more interesting show. So we'll see. Yeah, let's see here. Let's see. Thanks for all you do in your community. Oh, for the community. Thanks, man. I'm reading too fast. That's the caffeine. Your Sunday live shows have helped me through. Oh man, I'm sorry you had a terrible year. Much love to all for 2025. Hey, I really appreciate that you saying that, and that it was it's helpful for me too. I mean, if I would be in a bad mood or I had a bad day or something like that, I can come in here and do this. It's kind of like playing music. You get into something you love, talk about guitar, or you play music and play guitar, and then you kind of forget about things for a while, and you're in a better mood always when you come out of it, right? So yeah. So, but thanks, man. Appreciate your super chat and the sentiment, and I hope you have a better New Year. Honestly. Let's see. I'm gonna jump all over the place here because I missed so many of your early comments and questions here. Thank you guys so much for these super chats. I really appreciate it. Somebody's recommending the Engel Iron Ball SE. That's E-bars. Yeah, I like Engels. I'm a fan from what I've heard, Yeah. I guess somebody must have asked what's a great high gain amp. Arthur's recommending EVH amps. Lots of great. It's a time of abundance for high gain, isn't it? Is it worth upgrading a cheap guitar with high quality parts or not? Well, if the guitar speaks to you, if it's like, I love this guitar, but I just wish it stayed in tune better, or I wish, the bridge wasn't so janky or something. If you basically dig it, I mean, yeah, can be. Pickups can be, definitely transformational, so it's up to you, it's a good question. You might just want to trade in or something, or sell and save up for something that you really want. But Chris is asking, how good are EVH amps? I used one on tour, man. I mean, I used one with Chris Cornell for 2007. For much of the year, I had one as my kind of main distortion sound. So I believed in it and used them. I think they do a few things well, and there's definitely like they found a place with kind of like modern, like the original 5150, the block logo. They found a place in sort of modern metal. If you were like, oh, I want to do Fendery cleans, plus overdrive, I would probably, have other things I would like more for that. But they do have a usable clean channel, and then the drive sounds it's a certain thing. I prefer the blue channel on it. The red channel to me is really a lot of preamp gain, and it's kind of MIDI. Could work for a certain thing though, and be just right for a certain thing. Just for me, it wasn't exactly my thing. But I like the blue channel enough, that I used it as it had a great kind of Marshall-y high gain thing. When I first tried the amp, I remember plugging into one in Guitar Center in 2006, maybe, or 7, when they first came out. It was a white, 3-channel head. And I went straight to that blue channel, and I just hung on there for a while in the store, and I was playing it at low volume, and I thought, this is really good Van Halen, like kind of like early Van Halen tone. And then I used it, you saw me do that, the first stuff I did on YouTube, like the how to play Eruption video. That's that amp. So, because I got one and started using it. So I still have the cabinet. It's in the other room. I still have it. So I've had it. God, I haven't used it in a long time, but it's a good 412, with the Celestion EVH, basically the Heritage Greenbacks. So still got that. Okay, let's see here. Gonna move through the chat. Here's somebody with a 71 JMP. Totally love it. What greenbacks can you recommend? I would do the you're saying the 20, 25, or 30 watts. Well, the 20s are the Heritage Greenbacks, which are actually still a 25-watt speaker. I don't know why they called them 20s. You can confirm with them that, like, look at the specs on the site, and they say they actually handle 25 watts. But they have a slightly one thing about the Heritage Greenbacks, which I don't think they make anymore, by the way, but you could probably still find them used, or find a cabinet somewhere with them. That speaker had a little bit lower efficiency by a dB or something, and so a 412 of them softens the volume a little bit, which can be a great thing with a JMP with no master. It's a cool sound. They've got a little bit more, like, you can drive the amp into the speakers a little more, and you're going to find it's a little bit less wild, a little bit. They sound great. I mean, it's good tone. Kind of my favorite of the newer stuff, just as an all-rounder, is just the regular Greenback, the $99 one. It's fine and sounds good. And when you break them in, they're cool. I use them on the road. They're what comes in my PT 100 412. There's 2 V30s and 2 Greenbacks in those cabs. Greenbacks in the top and V30s in the bottom. So you get that nice blend. But yeah, and that's just the regular old Greenbacks. Now, a 30 watt, a little bit different. I like old ones. They're cool. The old. I'm not really super into the newer anniversary one. They called it a 70th anniversary or something. They called it. I don't really like that speaker that much. I find them kind of bright. At least that's my memory of it. It's been a lot of years since I actually used them, because I just didn't like them. So I just gravitated away from them. But they weren't terrible. I just found them edgy. Maybe if you kick the crap out of them and break them in, they'd be cool. If I wanted a Greenback-ish sound, but particularly a G12H30 sound, because I do like the old ones. The old G12H30s are cool. And, you know, a lot of stuff was done with those speakers. I mean, AC/DC and stuff, I think back in the day was, you know, you can kind of hear that speaker. It's got more bottom, more top, and just sounds overall bigger and a little bit less mid-range centric, I think. So sometimes when I hear guitar sounds, I'm like, I could be totally off, but you know, you think, oh, that sounds like G12 H30, our perception of tone, you know. So I was going to say the Greenback H95 is actually my choice for that style speaker. And we do use those in PT100 cabinets in our 212. And so, you know, I think it's a really good G12H30-ish speaker, because that's basically what a Greenback 75 is it's their version of a high power, big magnet, old school Greenback, which was the G12H30. So, you know, their Greenback M is a 65 watt speaker, and the Greenback H is the 75. So if you want to go 20 or 25, sure, Heritage Greenbacks. If you want a slightly less efficient sound, you want to cut the volume just a hair. 25s for your all-rounder. That's probably the safest choice, I would say. Just the regular run-of-the-mill, you know, standard line Celestion ones. And then for a 30 watt, if you want that G12H30 sound, I would actually go Greenback H75. There you go. Pete's choices. Let's see. Chris says, I had an okay experience recording by mic and amp guitaring with cover songs to a video stream platform. I got a good second mixer. It started being too good, but I really only hear the band music. I don't know what you mean exactly, but it sounds like it all worked out. Which Shure Signature model do you prefer the most? Well, I like them all for different things, and I know that you're going to hate that answer, but I still play my HH. I've got my garnet red HH that I love. Play that quite a bit. I don't know why, but that one's out of my HH models. That one's my favorite, the garnet red one. It's a great all-rounder, and it's just got a great thing. Now, you know, I love the true single coil thing, you know, because a tapped humbucker just isn't quite a true single coil. So if I want that next single coil, the gray one that's right there on the stand, and you can't see it, I don't think, but it's you know, this one is probably, I mean, I don't want to say it's the most versatile. It's a bit of a toss-up, but if you want the true neck pickup, this guy is pretty killer, you know. And a Thornbucker 2 in this, of course, too. Now the Floyd model, I've been playing a lot. It's a bit more of a shredder, though, you know. The bridge pickup's darker because it's in SSH plus. And so it's got that hot pickup in it, and it's got Floyd on it. So it's a little bit more polarizing, you know, as far as like what are you doing with it? A bit more of a super strat shred machine. So if I'm in, you know, if I'm playing Whitesnake, right, or something, I'll go for that one, you know, the one with the Floyd. And if I know I'm going to abuse the bar, if I want, you know, if I'm basically playing distortion. But if I'm doing like I need one guitar to take to the gig kind of thing, and you know, I'm going to play it like on a whole set, it's the silver one probably, you know. Or with Five for Fighting, for whatever reason, I have gravitated recently towards a blue. It's a one-off, but it's basically my HH model. And I've gravitated towards that. For that band, I don't know what it is. It's just that guitar. I love it. It's just become the guitar that I play when I play with that band. So that's my main instrument. I play it the whole set, except for one song where I need an alternate tuning. I've used it all year as my main instrument with them. So that's the HH. So, and that's a bit more of a, you know, guitar fitting into the mix, you know, lots of keyboards in that, or piano mainly in that band, and a bit more lower gain, you know, more in between sounds and stuff. And the humbucker split beautifully for that stuff. So I just, that guitar, I don't know, it's just got this earthy thing that bonds with the amp sounds that I'm using and stuff for that band. So it's really, honestly, in practice, I'm all over the map, you know. So over to the UK this time, I think I'm going to take the silver one. And I'm going to take the shredder, you know, Floyd humbucker HS. So both the HSS models would be what I'm taking over there for Classic Rock Show, at least for this next run. And then I've got a Sir T as well that I'm taking stuff. And those will be kind of my, I guess, my 3 Sirs. Maybe the Aura as well. Again, because it just works great for the Les Pauly stuff. Yeah. Okay. Moving down through the chat. We got about almost 300 people here online. That's nice. Nice to have you all here. Nice to have you all here. Ray says Demeter. Yeah, it's not a name you hear that much anymore, right? Demeter. But back in remember the late 90s? I mean, he was doing amps and preamps and stuff. And yeah. Oh, the chorus bridge part on Army. I know exactly the part you're talking about. Isn't that beautiful? That tone. I love that tune, by the way. That was that band. Some of you won't remember it, but go check it out. Army of Anyone was basically Stone Temple Pilots, but fronted by Richard Patrick of Filter. And they made a cool record together. And that particular song is really cool. It's kind of schizophrenic sounding because it has that beautiful kind of melancholy, the chorus bridge part you're talking about with those really cool kind of, you know, the pick down, that whole part that is what you're thinking of, I think, for the tone. It's really beautiful sounding. And then it's got that kind of more jamming, because it's halftime in the part you're talking about. It's open and beautiful. And then that kind of jamming riff part in the intro and the verse and stuff. Really great. And then Ray Luzier at the end, where he breaks loose and does his like basically awesome drum solo on the outro. It's so awesome. So that was the very first Chris Cornell show I ever played live crowd. Like, I mean, we did a TV show before that, or Yahoo, like in studio taping thing. But like the next night we went to Vegas and on Fremont Street, we did a show with Army of Anyone. And I remember we headlined and they opened for us. And I was like, I think I've arrived, because that's STP guys and they're opening for us. I was so stoked. They were a great band, man. They were Army of Anyone they were so good. But it was a good feeling to play with those guys. All the bands I got to play with during that period, I mean, jam with and stuff like that. And, you know, like on the same set and stuff was such a thrill. But yeah. And Dean always had such a good tone. Talk about band that, you know, hasn't gone modeling. I mean, they're still like, if you see them out now, follow Robert and Dean on Instagram and stuff. Robert's always putting up cool clips, and the sound of the amps on stage is always really great with them. You know, you can hear they're still cranking amps and rigs and all that. Good dudes. Both those guys are very, very nice people. I really like them. I've talked about it before, but Robert, I remember working at the Mesa Boogie store on Sunset Boulevard back before anybody knew who he was, because they were Mighty Joe Young back then, before STP hit big and blew up and stuff. And I used to go and buy strings and cables and stuff from him, and he never changed. That dude always stayed a really nice guy, and just with all his success and everything, he was a very, very nice person. Every time you saw him, he was the same. You know, he was just a cool guy. He never let it go to his head or anything like that. It was really cool to see him. You know, like, I don't know. It's a nice thing about LA in that period. I got to LA like right when grunge ended, right? And it was the tail end. So I still saw all the stuff going on, and then I saw it end, and it was really crazy. But seeing that, but then what happened in LA after that, they weren't really an LA band, although they sort of were. I mean, they were kind of San Diego band, but Robert lived in LA. So I knew it was kind of between LA and San Diego. I don't know where Weiland lived or anything back then, but maybe he was San Diego. I don't know. But anyway, a lot of bands did well, like going into the 90s. A lot of bands went away. A lot of musicians sort of crashed and burned, but other ones sort of flourished. And the scene got really interesting by about 93, 94, 95. You know, things were getting really interesting in LA by then. And it had gotten really sort of eclectic, because it had been very compartmentalized, and it needed to kind of die. You know, it was like the strip thing and everything. I mean, it was so cookie cutter. You know what I'm talking about? Like all those bands with the ripped jeans and the Naquinet, and everybody looked the same. I mean, it was like they were all trying to look crazy, but same uniform. So it didn't look crazy. It just looked like everybody looked the same. Very cookie cutter, you know, sort of, you know, misogynistic songs about, you know, whatever they were about. there was always the sort of formula of the song with the guitar solo, and everybody had to have a pink guitar with a Floyd Rose and whatever, you know. It just got a little silly, and then it had to change, and then kind of open wide up again. Like, I remember this band called The Flies, and that band came out of Mozart, which was they got signed to a huge deal during the hair metal era, and they kind of just evolved into this other thing because, of course, they had to. But they wrote a great song called "Got You Where I Want You" or something like that. Like, I remember, and so I remember seeing them going, "Oh, but they did it." They kind of, we saw just a lot of bands kind of doing different things. And then like She Wants Revenge, and just like interesting music came out of that time. Cool time to be in LA, actually, in retrospect. Anybody got drum track creation software recommendations? I really use Tune. Thanks for reminding me, because there's one I want to pick up, actually. Teletone Audio, I think it's called. I love their stuff, and they just made this new drum plugin that's so cool, kind of lo-fi, moody sounding. I want to check out there, so I just opened a web page after, because Soulfi it's called. Really cool. I use mainly TuneTrack, though. I use either Easy Drummer 3, which is a great plugin, but more often than not, I use Superior Drummer 3, and that's what I do 90% of my drums with. So check it out. Easy Drummer is like an easy way to get into it that is similar and good enough for so much. It's really easy. It's called Easy Drummer for a reason. It's pretty brilliant. There's a way you can kind of build a song within Easy Drummer by like taking the drum parts and then kind of stringing them together within Easy Drummer. I don't do that. I pull out the little groove. You'll see if you get it, but there's like little sort of 1 or 2 bar or sometimes 4 bar groove phrases, and you can just grab them and pull them right into your DAW. That's what I do. I grab them, I pull them right into Logic, and then I arrange them in Logic. And sometimes I'll go in and rewrite kick parts or add notes or fills, or things like that. But within, I do all my own drums, and within what that means is I'm finding these kind of grooves that work for my song. And then if I need to change little things, I do. And it generally, I can put a drum track together in like a half an hour or something using the TuneTrack product. So I'd recommend those. But I do want to check out this Teletone Soul drum plugin programs. It sounds so good. Let's see here. Silver Ben says, I have an H9. Is the H90 added features worth it? Good question. You can do most of what, there's routing things and things that you can do with an H90 that maybe would be difficult to recreate without moving cables around with 2 H9s, because you physically plugging them into one another. When you've got the pedal right there, you can route internally and do things that might be one reason that you would get the H90 instead of 2 H9s. I opted for an H90. It saves maybe a little space on my board because I used to have 2 H90s, right? And when you get the MIDI beside, the jacks beside, and everything, and it just kind of like it was wider than 1 H90 is easier to manage kind of than 2 H9s. Plus, you're only powering one pedal. So it'd be a little bit less, taxing on power supply, I think. But that's a couple reasons, I did the 2 H90 thing for a long time, though. So it just depends, on your individual. That's a couple things that might sway you, though, what I just mentioned, As sonically, you could get there probably almost identical sounds with 2, because it's essentially like having 2 H9s. Just with the added flexibility of the routing and stuff like that, and just easier to manage maybe with one pedal. Yeah. 4700 plexi tones on the JEL20. Love how that bright cap works on my plexi. Would love to get that out of the JEL. Yeah, that's the bright cap in a JEL20. I think is a 4700 picofarad. on a JEL 50, you can switch it between 100. No, you can switch it between 1,000 and 4,700, because 1,000 is the JCM 800 value. So, and it's interesting in the 800 circuit. It's kind of subtle, more subtle than you would think, you know. But you can definitely hear it. But yeah, the 20's got a 4,700 in it, I think. So, and of course, if you want to change it from that, it's easy. It's like a easy thing to mess with. So, Ray says, Merry Christmas to Mark, but Merry Christmas to both of you. Yeah. Have I experimented with an attenuator on a Plexi? Oh, sure. I mean, I've used them all, man. Going back to the Comet Air Brake or the hot plate, or even, you know, I remember back in the 90s, Power Soak, the original, you know, kind of resistive. But I've tried them all, man. I mean, basically the ultimate attenuator, the what was that other one? Had a name of a guy that started with an A. The something attenuator. I'm not gonna remember the name of it now. I still have my Fryette. Sorry, not my Fryette. Faustine, which is right here. The Phantom, which was a brilliant attenuator, passive attenuator that worked great, and I still think it's really, really good. And I'll always keep this one to use as because it's just easy. I mean, it's a great device if you need to trim 4 or 8 dB off of something like a Plexi. But they were expensive and they were hard to get. And then the guy ended up, you know, unfortunately, he was a nice guy. He just ended up having some issues with business and stuff, and so that there are no more. But I have one here. Long time ago, and ever since, switched to the Fryette Power Station. Been using it because I'm very happy with it. I think it's the best way to go over an attenuator is load and reamp to accomplish what you want to accomplish, which is lower volume, you know, Plexi at any volume. Good reactive load into a nice, you know, tube power amp sounds just more transparent than just about any attenuator I've tried. Oh, the Tone King's pretty good too. It's an attenuator that I think works quite well. So, yeah. Michael, thank you for the super chat, my friend. Appreciate that. You guys are too kind with the super chats today. You're helping me with my Christmas purchases because I went a little overboard. Thank you, fellas. There's one for more guitars. Merry Christmas to you and yours. Thank you for the super chat, my friend. You were in Dave's show replaced my Guitar Magazine subscriptions. So thanks for all the guitar geekery and advisement you'd never get from a magazine. Oh man, I appreciate it. Yeah, it's kind of a sad thing in a way, isn't it? I mean, I love the guitar magazines, and the guitar player going away is such a melancholy kind of thing for me. I mean, I used to love to go to the stand, you know, as a kid and see the new guitar player there, and I'd always buy them, and I ended up with boxes. I loved guitar magazines so much. I'm not making this up. It was so stupid. I shipped them all to LA when I moved here, and it cost a lot of money because I had 10 years worth of Guitar for the Practice Musician, Guitar World, and Guitar Player at that point when I moved to LA. There's a lot of issues of, I mean, hundreds of issues of guitar magazines. Imagine the weight. And I insisted on taking them. I'm so stupid because I ended up, you know, living in like 1-bedroom apartments or whatever with, you know, 2 other people and no space and these boxes of guitar magazines that ended up, I lost them all at some point in a storage space. I left them in a storage space and I just sort of forgot about them and whatever, moved, you know, I was moving around a lot back then, like we do when we're in our 20s. And I don't even know where they ended up. Probably, you know, in the garbage somewhere. So it's too bad. But anyways, I loved all those guitar magazines, you know. Yeah. But thanks for the super chat, and I appreciate that you like the shows and that you think we make a good substitute. Evening, says Mr. Lindsay. Lindsay. I sent an email, not sure if you received it. It was a quick question I have regarding your video on the SDE 3000. Mine's the EVH version, but I didn't see it. I guess I could take a look. Or if you just want to ask the question again. Let's see how good my Mac mail search goes, SDE 3000. I see somebody named Nate asked a question. I see somebody named Tom Eckert asked a question. That was back in April. Yeah, Tom's question. Let's just go through these. Why not? How do I connect my pedal board to it? It's a very simple board. I took all the delays off. Won't be needing these. I just have a Peterson tuner, Vox Wah. Eventually, I want to have the Eventide micro pitch. Any information? Well, I will be running a full wet, dry, wet with 3 amps. Well, you would run your pedals in front of the amps. So you're going to want to run, this is a little too complicated for the show. You're going to want to run your pedals and then go into the Boss delay, probably last, and then take the send out of the Boss delay that goes to the front of the amplifier. So that's the way you would do it. But it could get more complicated if you've got other time-based pedals on your board. Oh, you've got a chorus straight out to the direct dry amp. Yes. Guitar into tuner, out to the chorus, and then you're going to want to run to the input of the delay, and then you're going to want to take the send out of the Boss EVH into the front of the amp. And then you take your amp's loop, and it comes back into the return of the Boss SDE EVH delay, and then you're going to use the various outs to go to your return of your left-right amplifiers. I can see it in my head, but it's hard to describe. But yeah, you need to utilize the loop on the pedal to interface the front of your amp. Tom's not even here. I don't even know. Maybe he is here. Maybe he's listening. The other question, the only other one I see in my email, was it regarding the Plex? Yeah. Something about level issues. Okay, this fella had issues with the level because there's ways to set level on the delay. So you need to go in if you're running it with a pedal level effects loop and turn on the -20 level setting in the Boss. So just know that there's 3 level settings. There's basically a -20, a -10 or so, and then a +4 setting, low, medium, and high level within the Boss EVH delay. So just some info there for folks that have one and are wondering if they've got issues. I run mine at line level, so it's at +4. But yeah, you got to go in and configure the level settings. There's a meter on it too. You can look in the Boss manual to see how to get to the meter, so you can see the if you're clipping or not, and have your level setting right for your particular amplifier and rig. Yeah. This fella that's John, bought a Soldano X88 IR on Tuesday. It lasted till Thursday. You don't like it? That's interesting. I love it, to be honest. I think it's a great piece of gear sitting right there. What didn't you like about it? Curious. Tell us. Curious, would my recently purchased PT15 clean channel work to get me in the zone for Joe Walsh Eagles tones? Oh, sure. I mean, especially with the right pedal. I would use it set clean. And then, because Joe's a big pedal guy. He's got a lot of that dude tries different pedals daily on tour. I know, because I've heard from his tech. He'll come in with a pile of pedals and put them all on the floor and go, put all these on the board, like daily. But anyway, for Eagles tones, for me, I mean, I love, dude, honestly, the unobtainium pedal, which is like a Klon and then a Dumbly drive side, right? That combined with the Starlight for the fuzzy thing that they would do when they turned an amp all the way up, the kind of tweed, tweed sort of sound like a fuzz when you turn them all the way up. You could either use the Deluxe 55, that'd be good too, from Origin, but I think the combination of, like, especially the unobtainium raw, I love that pedal from Crazy Tube Circuits with its Klonny side and its Dumbly drive side, and then maybe add the Starlight. Great for Eagles stuff, like right there. You'd have it all covered. So you just kind of want good you know, overdrive / ampy drive going into like the PT15 sort of set clean. Couple little varieties there for because some sounds you might want a real clean sound, and then like sometimes you might want life in the fast lane, right? And for that's when you need like the unobtainium. I would hit the for that. I would use the drive side, the unobtainium ampy drive side, the Dumbly side. And then when you go into the solo, the slide solo, hit the clon thing, on the other side and just stack it in. I guarantee you the sound killer, because we've done Eagles for a couple of years in classic rock show. We did one of these nights, hotel, and those tunes I can totally make work with basically that pedal is all I need, to get that Joe Walsh vibe. So very, very good. They're Fender amp people, and overdrive people. So use a Fendery pedal into a clean channel. Oh yeah. There's Michael, came to the clinic this week. Thank you so much for coming to the clinic. I had a great time at Angel City Guitar. Super fun. It's a nice vibe in there. Really good. Everybody was great questions and just great vibe. It was nice. No pressure. Fun times. Dale says, cheers from Edmonton. The knowledge and experience you share is priceless. Oh, thanks, man. Merry Christmas and all the best in the new year. Up there in my stomping grounds where I grew up, where I was raised. That's where it all started. Where I started learning about stuff. I still remember things I learned in Edmonton. All kinds of things from folks there, guitar players, of course. My former guitar instructor, Terry McDade. Brian Hughes, amazing guitar player that also taught me lessons and has gone on to an amazing playing career, who I hung out with not that long ago, this past summer. It'd be great to see him again. He lives in LA. What a player. Brian Hughes. You guys know Brian Hughes? Check him out. He's really good. Got some solo albums out and stuff. Also tours quite a bit, and is musical director, I believe, with Lorena McKinnott, the Celtic harpist. He's had a long creative collaboration with her. Yep. What else are you guys talking about here? Let's light up some more chats. The Soldano thing drove me crackers. Literally, overdrove you crackers. Overdrove your crackers. Setup day in the studio sounds like a good idea. Ooh, I'm probably pretty far back in the chat, aren't I? Says Glenn. Should you be burned out from your travels? Yeah, I probably would do the Monday, maybe. It's probably a good idea. I'm going to want to get in and go get a bite to eat that night and try and sleep because of the jet lag situation. If you're running stereo setup in front of 2 amps and the chorus has the second output phase flipped, does that mess with the next effects in line? I don't think so. But I don't know. Good question, but I don't think so. So you're worried about like turning it on and then all of a sudden your one side's out of phase because you've got a phase flip or something. I don't think so. I think it just does the effect. Flip the phase of the affected sound. I don't think it'll do the dry sound. Like you can do that on delays. You can change the phase of the delay on, say, the SDE 3000 stuff, but it doesn't do anything to the dry signal. But I guess it's probably just pedal dependent. It might be, just depends, So give it a go, and as long as everything still sounds, you'll know right away. I mean, if something goes super hollow and sounds bizarre, like when you do that, then flip it back. But yeah, I think you should, as long as everything still sounds cool, like seems to be working with your other settings and everything, I wouldn't worry about it. Yeah. Okay, moving down through the chat. Don't forget to smash that like button. Somebody said that, and I'm reminding you. Please do. Please hit the thumbs up if you don't mind. Happy Sundays is Greg Folsom. I've got a student with a Mesa Mark V. He wants to hit the front with a pedal for better heavy tone. what else was popular besides Tube Screamer? This company called Horizon Devices, which is like Misha Mansour. He's got a couple pedals that do that thing, which kind of do the thing the Tube Screamer does, but it's a little more probably refined for this metal purpose. Let me find the name of the pedal exactly here. Horizon Devices. The Precision Drive is the one. It's got a clickable low cut on it that allows you to dial in exactly what we're talking about. So yeah, you're going to see videos, on their website. But check it out. There's another one that is just the low cut from the Precision Drive. I'm not seeing it on their. Oh wait, there it is. Nano Attack. It says sold out. They must not make it anymore. But yeah, there's still Precision Drive on their website. I'm not sure if this company is super active anymore or not, to be honest. But it looks like you can still get it. They've got some sold out signs on their website for other pedals. But the Precision Drive says it's available, and it was basically kind of a Screamer Drive, but with a more tunable low cut, so you can really dial it in. So take a look at that. I would say that's going to be my suggestion there. Huge Gas Attack says Raf Arts. Huge Gas Attack. Play a camper stage and love it. Wanted a backup and got a Nano Cortex. Now I want to change my setup to a quad, not because of the sounds, just the smaller footprint. Yeah, the quad is nice and small. Somebody was looking at mine the other day. They were like, hey, can I see your quad Cortex for a second? They'd never seen one. They were really shocked at how small it is. It is really compact. I mean, it's basically like the dimensions of a 13-inch MacBook, but it's thicker, So, but it's only this big. Like they're really small. I throw it in my backpack and take it places, all the time. It's tiny. Like with my laptop too. Did my whole when I went to Asia just recently, when I went over to Japan, I had my quad in there with my laptop and all my cables too, actually, and my glasses. It was great. Yeah. Was watching you play Seasons with Chris in Chile. You must miss him. I do every day. Yeah. Are you talking about that dressing room video? That was a nice moment. I'm glad somebody had the wherewithal to turn on a probably what was a phone camera back then. It turned out really nice. A little dressing room jam vibe. Oh yeah. Floyds are back in style, it seems. I guess they never went away, It's like we always had folks with locking tremolos. I guess Jerry used a Kahler, but I mean, which was, nobody else was using one, but Jerry Cantrell had Kahler all through the 90s into the 2000s. On the blue dress guitar, right? And Floyd's, I mean, you always had Dream Theater, Eddie Van Halen. I mean, everybody still stuck with them and used them to some degree. But yeah, they're definitely popular again. I mean, it kind of once the guitar, everything came full circle and we got out of the, I don't know, it's 2010 rolled around or something. And then it, we got so far past the shred era that it kind of came back. As things do in its own way. I mean, with bands like, more sort of like progressive bands or math rock or then, Periphery and things like that. You saw these bands come out and doing their crazy stuff. And I don't even know if they have Floyds. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But they're crazy. It just became like you could play Ibanez's again with like Floyds and stuff. And it wasn't tied to 80s necessarily. It was just a different, everything comes back around. Ian says he wants a white SG. Nothing like a white SG. I'd love a special like Pete Townsend, So cool. The two P90s, black P90s and white guitar. Pretty cool. Your Sir models that you had with you when I saw you both times this year sounded killer, says Arthur. Yeah, I mean, that was my my blue one. So versatile. I love that guitar. You saw me play it live. That's right, at the gigs. Yep. About Tone Dexter, says Combat Wombat. I had the first version. It caused phase issues. A lot of pros have bought it and sold the pedals because of it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to say, I gave up or anything, I would be happy to try it again if I had some recommendations, because I've seen some videos where it worked quite well online, but I just couldn't, I didn't get to where I wanted to get with it, I guess. I just couldn't. Jonathan says he had a Friedman PT20 at one time. A friend of his gave him a Marshall 112 1970s era cab. Was wondering if you guys might know what kind of selection speaker most likely it was in it. In a 112? Hard to say. I mean, who knows if it was switched and stuff. Really hard to say. If it was late 70s, could have been a 65 or something, like an early iteration of that speaker. I don't see a lot of 112s from the 70s. I'd be interested to see it. Interesting. If you don't have it anymore, the cabinet, because you could just look at the codes on the speaker, we could probably figure it out. Yeah. What do I think about the PRS SE Custom 24 from 2024? I had a Custom 24. Or did I? Was it? Mine was the alder body one with the bolt-on neck. I will say that I for a PRS, because it can be a little polarizing. But if you like a PRS, that's your jam. You like the it's like different body shape and the way the necks are, and you like that bridge, and you like that all the things. I will say the SE guitars seem to be very, very good. They seem well made, and like they were the first guitar, I will say, that I tried built in Korea, where I was like, this is really, really high quality. Like, they've done a nice job. They seem to have kind of figured it out. Like the PRS SE, whatever factory, just good solid guitars for the dough. Well made. Got Britt actually has one. She has like a black SE that's kind of it's not a Tremonti. It's a single cut. Maybe it is a Tremonti. It's a single cut with two humbuckers, the stop bar bridge, very basic, kind of Les Pauly looking affair. And it's an SE. Good guitar, nothing wrong with it. So yeah, you could always get a stinker, I guess, it happens. But I think generally speaking, they're quite well made. Yeah. Jonathan says I'm reminding him of a picture he has of Roger Waters. I got a haircut scheduled. Oh, it's like a mess right now, but I'm waiting for it to I got a haircut on the 31st. So, but I'm not doing, I'm just shaping it in finally to my ultimate 70s shag. That's the goal. It needs it's too long on top for that right now. So after a haircut, it should be cool. The days of Jeff Beck and Ron Wood and Rod Stewart and whoever else had one back then, the cool shags from the 70s. They hit on a magic thing right around 1973. And then everything, if you get into the 80s, and everything starts to look a little too like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Fun fact, Sean Tubbs played with STP on their Unplugged episode. Yeah. Remember that. That's true. He was also at Making Music back then. Not Making Music. Sorry. Excuse me. Mesa Boogie. The shop in Hollywood. They were like, they both worked there. Sean and Robert DeLeo. So they were old friends and stuff. And Sean's obviously amazing. Amazing. Yeah. Not sure if you're into it, but fave Christmas song. What is it? Vincent Garibaldi. I said it right? The whole Charlie Brown Christmas album. One of my favorite records of all time. Really interesting how they cut that record. It was done really quick, in a day or two, I think. And they've got that kids choir on there, and it's just, they created magic. Like, what a vibe. Like, I guess it's just the sound of his band playing those arrangements, but they made magic that is just timeless. They made it in a couple days, and how would you ever know? It was some magic music creation thing where it's just like, you don't know. You go in and cut a tune, and then or a group of tunes, and it ends up becoming classic for all time. It's so cool, about music. I remember, talking to Eddie Kramer about working on the Baby You're a Rich Man Beatles session, which was really neat because everybody always asked Eddie about Jimmy and stuff, of course, but he did so much other really interesting stuff, right? Like Kiss and Peter Frampton and people maybe don't ask enough about those things. They want to talk about Hendrix all the time. I get that, of course. We fell into that trap. We interviewed Eddie on the Tim and Pete show way back when, and we ended up talking more about Hendrix than anything. But I really wanted to ask about some other things, so I think we did on that talk about the Beatles session that he did. The Beatles went to, I think it was it Olympic? I might be mixing up my stories, but the Beatles went to the Abbey Road wasn't available. The usual studios weren't available wherever they worked, so they went to, I think it was Olympic, and Eddie was a second there. I think that's the story. And they came in, and the session started in the early evening, and by about 3 a.m. the song was done, and that's Baby You're a Rich Man. And there's neat story about like the sort of interesting keyboard line in there which Lennon played. That was like an early precursor to like Moog or something, I think, and it some sort of keyboard, and it happened to be there in the studio, and John Lennon was like, what's this thing? And they were like, oh, we rented it for another artist for some session. They wanted to try it, and he's like, can I use it and try? And he went in and started messing around, and that's that intro, Baby Rich. It just happened by accident. That board that was there that day, rented for someone else. And I don't know, man. That's so like, you just like, that song sounds like that song, and we've heard it our whole lives or whatever. And it's just like they just went in and in 8 hours made this magic thing that then got mixed and was done. And Eddie's like was there. It's so cool. I don't know. This is the stuff I get jazzed about, but really interesting. Yeah, I think I've got that shot far. Oh, that's such a bummer. I'll edit it out later when the broadcast goes live. I'll cut to here. But anyways, we're back. Lost sound for a little bit there. So for those of you that are still here, I was wondering why the views were falling off so rapidly. I thought I must be getting really boring. Anyway, when this goes up later, I'll oh, what a drag. I answered a whole bunch of questions and everything, and thanks for the super chat letting me know there's no audio. Oh my God. Yeah, there was a noise, and I didn't think clearly. I went through my mixer and I hit the input also. That was, oh, so dumb. Oh God, and that was a long time ago. All right, sorry guys. Well, this is so stupid. Okay, I think I was answering this question. So I'm going to hit the super chat here because, of course, I got to do that. You were asking about if you should go for the made in Mexico Charvel. I think it's a great idea. I mean, I think they're nice guitars. They're made in the same factory as the EVH guitars, and I've got a couple of those, and I think they're fun guitars, and in that price range, if that's what you're looking for, I say go for it. That was my answer for that one. They're just fun instruments. Okay, somebody else was asking me about the Music Man. I was answering this question. This is as far back as I'll go here for kind of my revisiting. Wondering what it was like to have Eddie's Ernie Ball Music Man guitar. Do you still have it? Thanks to Simon Legg, I do, who was here earlier, if he's still here. What's up, Simon? Terrific guitar, a moment in time. I saw them on the tour. I was mentioning I saw them at the 93 or so, and I don't know, it was a surprising guitar that he came out with, but we all grew fond of it, I think, over time. Initially, maybe we were like, oh, that's such a departure, but it was really cool, and love that guitar. I answered this as well, so I'll go over this. We need to do a pedal, one side Eclipse, other side Coco. I was saying I think that's a great idea. I was saying, what if you had the two sides of the Eclipse, but there was a Coco switch added, so that you could pick whether you wanted it on channel 2 or not, and it was just kind of a preset that maybe had a you know, either a recessed pot or maybe like a little mini pot to control the boost amount, but it was the Coco sound on the channel 2. You could flip a switch on or off so that when you hit that second channel, the Coco comes on at the same time and kind of boosts into that channel. I think that might be neat. But I love your idea of also just an amp side with the Coco. I think that that's great. And maybe there's something there. Maybe we could talk about doing a pedal at some point. That's kind of a PT ampy channel, like the PT channel 2, you know, with a Coco boost added. I would love to do a pedal like that with them. Anybody text me? Probably heard from. Yeah, Rhett. Thanks, man. Rhett Shull texted me. Oh, Jesus. Ben texted me. Got a bunch of texts. Lauren. This is what happens when you don't have a engineer, I guess. Oh, God. I'll just edit out the big dead airspace later. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Oh, wow, that went for a while. All the problems here. When is he going to notice? Eventually did. I love that you guys still gave me super chats during that time for giving you absolutely nothing. God, you people are too nice out there in the world. People are too nice on this show. Look at this. Everybody just keeping a positive attitude. You're muted. Can't hear. Super chat, no audio. Okay. Anyways. Yeah, no sound. Oh, okay. I was showing you this pedal. So now I got to we'll go back and we'll show you this pedal really quick here. Well, since I was talking about it. This is the Sinvertech Harmonic Overdrive. Right? From my friend Wunan over at Sinvertech, who builds pedals that aim to replicate Marshalls, but also boost into Marshalls. This is his latest and greatest like boost attempt, where he says it's the best pedal for boosting a plexi ever. So somebody was mentioning earlier they're tired of clones and things, and we need something new. I think it was Arthur. So I just was recommending you try that. I haven't yet. I'm gonna plug it in later today. Give it a go. I just got it. No sound, says Black Glove with the super chat. You guys are the best. Wish I knew what it did. Somebody said, no audio. Is this live? Oh, man, he's going to. I'm upset, but I'm not that upset. You know, it was. I was here for a long time. A certain number of people tuned out, and plenty of you are still here and talked amongst yourselves and waited. So, because you're good guys. Here's another super chat. I owe you guys like $15 in super chats. And I'll just stick around a little longer for the stupid error that I just made. You can blame it all on my API mic pre, because my API that I'm not even using right now, but it started to, it's got a bad cap, and I started muting things in my mixer without thinking clearly. So I muted channel 3 where the API was plugged in, and I muted channel 6 where the audio for the stream goes. What a jackass. All right. Well, somebody says, I can hear him just fine. Just kidding. I'm going to go down in the chat here to all the way to where... God, I was so far behind, wasn't I? All the way. If he signs off before he knows, this is awful. Thank you guys for all the super chats. Okay. What an embarrassment. He may need to have pizza delivery knock on his door, says Earl. I'm going to the bottom of the chat because it was just epically long until... All right. Here we go. Pete rules. Well, we love you. I love you guys too. Hey, you know, this stuff is DIY, right? And that's just the way it goes. So, you know, well, there's some good stuff in the comments. There was some good stuff in the comments. We're all human. Thank you. I appreciate that. Oh, dude, I make mistakes all the time. Stuff happens. Stuff does happen. I'll go through later on today and tweak it out so that anybody watching after the fact doesn't have to sit through that much silence. Yeah. Was it really a half an hour that it was quiet? So terrible. I'm noodling around on guitar watching a stream. I press the button. All of a sudden, I don't have one of my amps working. It took me 10 minutes to figure out what the heck was going on. I do that all the time in here. You know, when you plug something in and then with tube amps, I'm always very careful. If I'm playing and I'm like, this should be working, but I'm not hearing anything, the first thing I run to is the speaker cable to make sure that that's not, and many times it is just, you know, popped a set of tubes on my old Marshall once running a fuzz into it and the speaker cable wasn't plugged in all the way. So I hit it with that square wave right in the front end. And actually, I think I just blew a fuse. It wasn't catastrophic. Anyways, have you tried out the Dragonfly pedal made by Frank Marino? Never heard of it. Didn't even know that was a thing. You sound good, but you need a haircut. Yeah. Got one scheduled. Take it easy. Wait till you see me after my haircut. I'm gonna look fantastic. Don't hate me because my hair is luxurious. Yeah. It was since you noticed a weird noise from your speakers, that's when we went dark. Yeah, I know. I got a mic pre I gotta get fixed, and it's pissing. That little experience makes me want to take it right out of the rack, actually. Just throw it in the other room. Caused me to freak out and screw up my own show. Okay. What's your process for creating a melody, or what makes a good melody? You know what the best idea is for that? If you can't think of something right off the bat on the guitar with it in your hands, put the guitar down and actually just use your inner voice or sing, you know? Thinking about the melody just musically without a guitar in your hands and falling into guitaristic patterns is a great idea, I think. If you all else fails, go study the Beatles and just listen to a few tunes. Maybe pick up a guitar, learn a few of the chords, and see what they're doing in the melody, and then come back to your song and be inspired. You know what I'm saying? Because they were masters of interesting melodies. Their sort of phrasing, note choice. Take a song like Julia, you know, John Lennon, like the beauty of the melody in that is, and the simplicity of it is really quite something. Yeah, 3-chord songs are great for studying melody, because the ones that, like High and Dry by Radiohead, you know, 3 chords, the whole song, but you don't feel like it's 3 chords because the melody soars in the chorus. And the phrasing, another great thing in a chorus is, you know, have the melody go high and drag the phrase out, like maybe just make it one word, right? Which is what happens in that song. Right, so the melody starts low, you know, two jumps in a week. I bet you think it's pretty clever, don't you, boy? Right, and then don't leave me high, don't leave me dry. Right, so at the chorus it goes. I'm singing an octave down because I'm not going to sing right now, but when it soars in the chorus and hits that note, that's magic, you know. And so he's telling a little story in the verses and reflecting, and the melody's going down as he's doing that. And then in the chorus, it goes up and holds one note and it soars. And it's the same 3 chords, right? F sharp, A, E for the whole tune. There's a lot of lesson in that, I think, the way that he phrases and stuff. So, okay. Naive Steve. If it carried on longer, I might have had to talk to the wife. At least there's some comedy today. Oh, brother. Okay. Yeah. I think Ben Tom says, I think commenting on another dude's hair might be the real problem. I think my hair looks pretty damn good right now, man. At least it's all there. I don't know. Yeah, male hair critique. Always my favorite YouTube comments. I always say, let's see a picture of you, and then we'll talk. You better be good looking. Handsome. What do you think HSH guitars are not that popular? Well, some people really like them. I mean, Steve Vai, you know, the gem. Absolutely. That's a good question. I think some players have a problem with a middle pickup that gets in the way of the pick, you know, so that can be a thing. I think a lot of people feel like the dual humbucker with the inside coils split thing is close enough to a bridge and middle or middle and neck sound, you know? So the simplicity of the double humbucker thing, maybe for some people is cool, and then just not having the pickup, because the pole pieces on the single can kind of mess with your pick sometimes. I find that's the only thing about Strat. I run the middle pickup pretty low because of that. So I don't know. That's just a couple thoughts. Like you can kind of get there with two split humbuckers, and you can have an easier time with a pick. I'm just speculating. What do you guys think? Is there, I don't know. Hockey hair. I don't have hockey hair, dude. Hockey hair is this. If I actually cut it off, right? You know, which I used to have. Man, I lost my ID. I left my wallet somewhere. In the 90s, like late 90s, left my wallet somewhere, and it had my high school ID in it. And I had the best mullet back then. So I still have my high school yearbooks and stuff with these pictures in there, but I missed that ID. I just carried it around, show it to people. You're handsome and didn't go bald in your 20s like me. I thought I was going to get up and go at 1 minute, and then it didn't. You know, my dad lost all his hair in his 20s, and my granddad's too. So I don't know. I got lucky, I guess. Skipped a generation or whatever. Ian Thornley has a nice HSS. Yeah, he uses them. Thornley uses both in his Sir Classics and also in his Jazzmaster shaped guitar. Is that signature? Those are HSH. He likes them. He likes all that versatile stuff. Dave Murray, he was another one. Yeah, Dave Murray, Steve Vai. Who else uses HSH? It's HSH. Trying to remember if there's other players that just come off the top of my head that went that route. Definitely Dave Murray. Yeah, I can't think of any others at the moment. I have a Sir HSH Thornley. Says Wayne. Pickups are great. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think the new Jack White guitar is 3 different pickup types. Does it? Yeah, I believe you're right. I don't know if it's like HSH, but I think his new amp's amazing. Have you guys seen his new amp with the 2 power amps and everything built in, and the 10 and the 15, and you can do, you know, harmonic tremolo between the 2 power amps, and it's fully stereo and everything, and you can have the reverb just come out of the 10 or both speakers if you want. So neat. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Thanks again, Ben Tom, for the super chat and the vote of confidence. If I could only keep one guitar, HH or HSS. Oh, it's really hard. I mean, I don't know, man. I'd have to think about it. Honest. Can I have some time to think about it? If I can only have one. Probably HSS. Probably. If I can only have one, probably. Because I'm going to want that single coil at some point. And I don't use the neck humbucker a ton. You know, I'll use it for like gainy solo, that woo tone. You know what I mean? Yeah. Time is it? 2:06. I'm gonna hang till another 5 minutes and stuff, and then I'm gonna split you guys and go get some work done. I got to finish the video for that JEL 50 where I'm comparing it to the Marshalls back there, the 2203 and the JMP. So get that done, get it out. Tomorrow it's time for Christmas festivities for a few days. Taking a few days off, and then I'll be back at it on the 27th. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I missed a super chat from John Deshane. Did I? Let me find that, my friend. Sorry about that. Nice to see you here. There's so many comments telling me that the stream wasn't working that I probably just passed by it. I'm trying to find it. If I can't find it here in a minute, I'm going to ask you to just ask the question again, because I'm going all the way back and I ain't seeing it. It would be really a great thing if they had a way to just highlight super chats in this software. Because, yeah, otherwise you sit here like this for trying to find. I don't see it, John. I'm super far back. Oh, there you are. Looking for pickup suggestions for Thorn signature. Oh, no, I answered it. Oh, I know why. Because the chat was friggin' muted, probably, right? So it's probably one of the ones I answered then. John, I'm going to recommend that you go with the SSH Plus, which is what is in my shredder version, the custom HSS. So SSH Plus pickup is what I use in that, and it's awesome. It's just dark, like you're saying, and just configure it the same. So use the you're saying StreamYard does do that, Jim. I don't see that option, but anyways, I'm not seeing that option in my. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to look for that if there's an option to just highlight super chats, but I don't see it. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Anyways, so John, yeah, just go with the SSH Plus. It's a like 16 or 17K or whatever the heck it is. It's kind of John's version of a JB, but he wanted it to sound better. I think it's great. It's definitely got the dark, warm, bass character that I think you're looking for. Driving into a dirty amp, great with gain. It's a different thing than the Thornbucker Plus that you've got in there now, which is full on PAFE. So go for that, but keep the series parallel switch. You're going to want it, and it'll work great for when you do need a cleaner thing. Yeah. Any opinion on Zach Sabbath going to see them? Max Sabbath is awesome. I think I saw Zach do that once I did. It was a benefit for Tony McAlpine many years ago. And Zach did a set like that. It was Joe Satriani, Steve Vai, Zach Wild. Was Nuno there that night? It was a big benefit at the Wiltern. So, yeah. Oh, look at this. This is some exciting news. And it was good, by the way. It was cool. I was like, oh, he sings it great, actually. Like he had a cool take on his voice was cool. So yeah, check it out. Peter says he's picking up 2 kittens. You lucky dog, you. Or you lucky cat, you. Yeah. That's super cool. I love kitties. I do. Are you on StreamYard or OBS? I use StreamYard. So I don't see any. There's only the style, I just don't think there's any way to just highlight a super chat that I know of. I've got the different banners, private chat style, but there's no way that I know of to I'm looking here. Yeah, I'm not really seeing that. So if you know something I don't, maybe I'm just doing something wrong. Anyways, Pete needs a dog. I would love a dog, but I don't have the right setup for it right now, honestly. And when I go to on tour and stuff like that, it just wouldn't work. Cats are easier to, if you're doing any kind of traveling for a couple of days, you can leave cats and just have somebody come in. But a dog's got to be walked and the whole 9 yards. And it's a little more. I can't do it at this point in my life. Maybe someday. I love dogs too. Yeah. Okay. Well, everybody, I think I kind of killed the stream with my mistake this week. I'll remember to not do that next time. And yeah, there's something great about doing. By the way, if any of you guys do this stuff, doing streams and stuff like that, and doing any kind of live streaming, whatever, the more complex your setup gets, especially if you're doing it alone, the more problematic it can become. And the reality is, some of the best stuff I've probably ever done is just on the phone or something. When you're in an airport or when you don't have any of these issues, as long as you got decent internet. I've talked about this with Dave Friedman. I love, all my interface and stuff like that and using the stuff I do, but it gets a little complicated for live streaming, So I used to use this. I've got sitting right over there, a Samson mic that's just a Samson USB microphone with a USB interface on it. That was great because it was like you just plug it into the computer and you knew it was working. There's nothing to it. There's not a lot of cables, not a lot of whatever, And nowadays, it's like I had an issue a few weeks ago where I was having audio issues and stuff with drivers and things, updating software and blah, blah, blah. And I said, screw it. Just use the Mac display microphone, and I bet nobody out there really cares. So the reality is that we probably make, I'm using this SM7 and everything. I probably make it more complicated than I need to sometimes by combining too many different things. And maybe that's where we'll wrap it up this week, because that's a lesson with guitar rigs too. It's like, especially when you're your own tech, and even when you've got a tech, making things more complicated than it needs to be, just because you go down that rabbit hole is not necessarily a great idea. And I ran into that this week, I guess. So maybe that's the learning experience that I'll take away from this week. Yeah, but yeah. Snafu, says Ray. Yeah, it's a total snafu, 100%. Take care, everyone. Have a good Christmas, says Surfer B. Have a good Christmas or whatever you celebrate. I agree. I can't wait to share my news, you guys, with you. I got such fun news coming for 2025, but I can't tell you yet. But it all will be revealed into the beginning of the new year, and I'm super excited about what's coming next year and stuff. So some neat stuff coming. And if anybody's over in the UK, if you're still on, you're probably not, but I'll see you next month for some classic rock show gigs. It's gonna be fun. Anybody going to NAMM? I'll be there Friday. Stop by and see me. I'm coming back from England to go to the show for a day. I know, I'm insane, but I'll be there for 36 hours, and then I head back over straight into a gig in lovely Bournemouth, I think. Or Portsmouth, one of the two. I mix them up. All right, that's all I got. I'll see you guys next week for one more of these before on the 29th, before the new year. So good times. I'll try and not mute the stream next week. Thank you all so much. Have a terrific Christmas if that's what you celebrate, or Hanukkah, or whatever you celebrate. Whatever you celebrate. Just have fun with your family. Good times with friends. Peace on earth, all that good stuff. All right, take care, everybody.